Hello and welcome to this video, which is all about Dickinson marine diesel stoves. We've been making diesel stoves like this one at Dickinson since the 1930s. They are robust, mechanically controlled, and built to last. And they do. Because they last a very, very long time, they need to be maintained. This particular stove hasn't been very well maintained, however. It's a Dickinson Pacific model, and this one comes from the 1980s. As you can tell from the greasy flames and the soot it's making, it's seen better days. And what I'm going to do is get it running like new again. I'm going to start by getting the doors out of the way by removing the two nuts that hold them on. Behind the smaller door is the valve compartment with the metering valve, which is also often called a carburetor. I'm going to detach the fuel lines. There are three of them. The fuel comes in at the top of the valve, leaves at the bottom, and the line in the middle is an overflow line. There'll be a couple of screws holding the valve onto the bracket that you'll need to remove as well. You can use a socket or a wrench, an 8mm size, or that's 5/16 if you prefer inches. Now with the valve removed, we're going to clean its moving parts. This is one thing I always do before I try and light any stove that's been sitting for a while or hasn't been well taken care of. It's always worth the effort. For a really detailed description of how to service a valve, you can check out our video called How to Service Your Valve in Just 5 Minutes Using Household Items. But we're going to cover much of the same ground here. I'm going to remove the valve mechanism from its body. You can pull the pin out to release the flow, like I'm doing here. Next, I'm going to remove the needle. The needle is very important. I'm going to set it down on the float where it will stay clean and where I can find it. There's a black C-shaped washer on the stem that can be pried off, which will allow you to remove the washer underneath, the spring, and then the knob and stem assembly from the valve lid. There's a fitting on the underside of the lid called the seat, and I'm going to clean that out using Q-tips. This is very, very important. Any stickiness or old fuel residue inside this seat are going to cause problems with the moving parts of the valve. The moving parts of the valve won't move smoothly or operate the way they should if they're sticky. So any old fuel residue in this seat has to be cleaned out. Now that it's clean, I'm just going to make sure that the needle doesn't have any fuel residue on it either. So I'm just polishing it to clean metal. When it's clean, you can slide the needle back into the seat for safekeeping. I'm changing the stem in this valve. The incorrect metering stem was installed previously, and so I'm going to put in the correct 3D stem. If you don't have the correct stem for the size of burner you have, you'll never be able to balance the combustion. Tighten it on really well to avoid it coming apart while adjusting settings on the valve. Now I'm going to reassemble everything. I'm not always good at capturing the action on the cameras, as you can see, but I will try and cut away to the other view to give you an idea of what's going on when I can. Replace the float that hooks onto the needle, and then anchor it with the float pin. This bit can be a little tricky. When everything's put back together, you can slide the mechanism carefully back into the valve body. Check the float and make sure it can fall down easily. The brass fittings go on the same side of the valve. Before you fully tighten the screws of the valve lid, you want to pull up on the knob and make sure the action of the knob is smooth. If you feel it catch or if it feels hesitant, you can adjust the position of the lid slightly before tightening the screws. In the next few videos, I'm going to be tackling the rest of the maintenance needed to complete this stove. If you found this video helpful, please hit subscribe for more content from us. Thank you for watching.